Have you ever came face to face with a coyote? Like, what would you do in a situation like that? I was walking through the streets of Victorville one day and I came face to face with a coyote. I was like 21 and I had never encountered a coyote before, and honestly, I had heard about coyotes, but I didn't know what they looked like. So when I came across this animal, I was like, what the heck is that? Like, it's not a dog. It looked like a wolf to me, to be honest. I was like, it's definitely a wild animal of some sort, and I'm not sure what I should do. It looked at me like it didn't know what it was supposed to do either. Luckily, it just happened to be that across the street, someone was having a party, and there were people out in the front yard. The guy was like, whoa, you're okay though? Just come over here slowly, walk very slowly, don't make any sudden fast moves. And so I like looked at the coyote the whole entire time as I diagonally walked slowly across, and at some point in time he turned and ran the other way. The guy was like, oh my god, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. He's like, do you need a drink? Do you want a drink? And I was like, sure. Honestly, I knew the situation I was in and I wasn't planning on actually drinking alcohol. And I think I opted for something like soda or water. I don't remember, but I know that I personally didn't drink alcohol that night because I wanted to be alert of my surroundings. After all, I was stranded in Victorville in the desert by myself, not knowing how I was going to get where I needed to go. I'm a pretty social person, so getting to know people and hanging out and talking wasn't really a problem for me. And honestly, at that point in time, it was getting late and I was kind of scared to continue walking by myself in the street. Most of the people at that party were partying pretty hard, and there was a lot of alcohol and some other things that I didn't touch at all that night. I was literally using this as like a safe house, like a place to rest. I was in the middle of a neighborhood. I literally had no real options. I didn't know where the next actual city or hotel would be, and I didn't have money to stay at a hotel anyways, so I was just like, I might as well just stay here. I remember hanging out with a group of girls that were pretty drunk and maybe other things, and they were like passing out in this one room, and I'm like, I think I'll just take a nap in here, like, because I was so exhausted. Like, I hadn't slept and I needed to rest, so I think I like took a little nap while everybody else was passed out, and I didn't realize that I was that tired, but I woke up like the next day, like it was light outside. Like, the reason why I woke up is because the light woke me up. I looked around and there were just like a bunch of people just like passed out all over the floor, and I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to go now. So I remember getting up and like stepping over all of these sleeping people to get out, and went to the living room, and there was more sleeping people in the living room, and I was just like, wow. Not the safest place to be probably, but honestly it was pretty safe because most of the people there were pretty cool. And I'm just so glad that they had the hospitality to invite a stranger in just because she was face to face with a coyote. So then I started walking through the neighborhood again. It was light outside, so I didn't feel quite as scared as the night before. And I was just walking, still trying to find the church that I was looking for. So that day I just remember like roaming through the town, and I think I came across a church, and I was still asking people for directions to the address that I had for the church I was going to, and I just kept walking in that direction, and it was really far. To be honest, my memory's sort of foggy on that day. I don't remember what exactly happened. Like I said, I just remember running into one church and going inside and hanging out for a little bit, talking to some people there, and I don't know why nobody was really willing to give me a ride to the church that I was trying to get to. Everywhere I went, I would go to safe places like churches to try to get a ride to other churches, and people would be like, they couldn't take me for whatever reason. I remember still stopping in different places and trying to call Daniel and having no luck getting a hold of him, and I don't know what was going on, but I was just like wandering around mainly the whole day, I guess, you know? So I was either in like a residential area or like desert area when I was walking, and it just felt like there was no shopping centers or like places like where do people shop around here? Where do they go have coffee? Like, what do people do? Where's the nearest McDonald's? You know, it's like hard to find stuff like that. And I rarely seen people. So like at one point in time I remember seeing a guy watering his lawn outside the front yard, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people, like this is the first person I've seen in a long time. You know, like there were houses, but I didn't want to like knock on people's doors or anything. But I saw this guy, he seemed pretty harmless and he was watering his lawn. So I was just like, you know, hi, could I use your phone to call for my ride? And so then he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And everything seemed fine. So I told him I was trying to get to this church, and I remember going in the house, and I don't think that was probably the best thing to do, but back then phones weren't really like, you know, cordless sometimes, and I don't think he had a cordless phone, so I had to go into his house to use the phone. And I wasn't getting any, nobody was picking up at the church. Daniel wasn't picking up, and then I was talking to the guy, and I was just, you know, telling him like that I was trying to get here and that I was stranded and I was trying to get back to LA. And then he said that, you know, he could take me, and I'm like to the church, and he's like, yeah, or I'll take you back to LA either way. I was like, okay. I remember that I was like feeling really gross, and I was like, man, I really needed to get a shower and stuff like that. And I think I asked him if I could take a shower, and I mean, I guess I must have felt safe because I felt like if he was gonna do something to me, like he would have already done something. At some point in time, I remember that he gave me a drink, and like, cause he asked me if I was thirsty, and I was like, yeah. He gave me something to drink, and I don't know if it was juice or what, but like I remember just feeling safe, you know, like it didn't feel like anything was wrong or off, which usually in the past when things that had happened, I kind of would get like senses and feel like something was wrong or something, but I wasn't feeling any of that. So he like gave me a towel, and he gave me some clothes to change into, and showed me where the bathroom was, and I was like, thank you. And I thought everything was cool, and then I'm in the bathtub, and he walks in. When he walked in, I was like, oh my god, like what is gonna happen right now? I was like freaking out, and I think I just started crying, and I was like begging him, please don't hurt me, like please. And I remember he didn't. He was like, no, I was just checking on you to make sure you're okay and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'd rather be alone. But you can stay here if you want, I guess, you know, like, I mean, I just felt like I had to kind of like take control of the situation. I don't know how to explain this. I just remember crying uncontrollably, and I don't think he expected that. And I think he was going to try to be with me, but I don't think he realized what kind of mess I was. I was terrified of being assaulted, and thank God he didn't do that. I remember telling him that I was just like so tired and exhausted, and he helped me get out of the tub, and I changed into the clothes, and I was still sobbing, and he just took me to the bed and had me lay down and said to just rest. I was feeling super tired. I don't know if something was in that drink, but when I went to go lay down, I just passed out. And he wasn't with me when I woke up, so maybe he changed his mind. I don't know.